Okay, so for my part today, I'm going to present about the applications of newly developed biosensors. And I'm going to give you 6 examples of newly developed biosensors. The first one is heart health by SmartVest. And as you can see from the top right picture, it's in the form of a vest, and its sensor are able to measure heart rate and also the breathing rate of the wearer. And as you can see from the right picture still, it is adaptable to different body sizes due to its nature of the fabric that is being used. It's elastic, meaning that it is comfortable to be worn. So the wearer, right, the sensor will detect the heart rate and the breathing rate. And then it can also give information about the location where you are because there is a GPS. So let's say the wearer is on an emergency condition. Let's say like they have a heart attack or a breathing problem. It will straight up, of course, under internet, if you like the wearer is connected to the internet, will straight up inform the emergency services such as ambulance. It will straight up inform the family and also the nearest hospital, which is a very effective way, and it's also very good for a post-discharge follow-up, meaning that after the patient is discharged from the hospital, sometimes they still need to do follow-up. And by using this SmartVest, they don't need to physically come to the hospital to get follow-up for them to like measure the heart rate and breathing rate, and it's also washable. The second application of newly developed biosensor is Google Smart Lens by Google that are able to measure the glucose amount inside someone's blood. And it do so by using a small glucose sensor that is consisted of a wireless chip, and it is put between 2 layers of a soft lens material. And because the sensor is in the middle of the soft lens material, as you can see on the bottom right, the picture in the bottom right, it ensured that the lens is comfortable to be worn because you barely feel the sensor because they still use the normal soft lens material. And then you can see on the top right material, that's how the sensor will look when it is worn inside your eyes. And then the aim of this smart lens is actually to help diabetic patients, so they can be informed, and then the nearest hospital can be informed when their diabetic levels actually already going above their normal glucose level. And it do so by allowing the tear fluid inside your eyes to go into the sensor through a small size pinhole on the lens, and it will measure the blood sugar levels through that. Okay, so the previous 2 biosensors just now are the ones that are being used on humans. The third biosensor that I'm going to explain is the one that is actually used on animal, more specifically the farm animal, and it is the Moo Monitor by Dairy Master. It is actually able to measure the physiological conditions of individual farm animal. And heat in cows and their illness can also be recognized through the wireless sensor that is being used. So if you see on the bottom right in the picture, the sensor is actually wrapped around the neck of each animal, and it will supervise all activities of cows and their behaviors. And if you can see on the top above the picture of the sensor itself is actually the app that is connected to the owner of the farm animal's phone, and this app will actually like inform the owner like if there's actually changes. So it will first of all record the behavioral pattern of the farm animal, and when there is a change, it will detect and record any changes, and it will notify the owner through their phone. So the fourth application of biosensor is the wearable chemical sniffing biosensor that is still under development by the University of Michigan. So this sensor is able to measure the biochemical information from our breath and also from our skin. And it uses a graphene vapor sensor that you can see on the bottom of the slide, which is like a small chip that could be worn on the body as a wearable biosensor. And the difference from this is that it will continuously monitor your body condition and all. So the fifth biosensor is a little bit different. So rather than measuring a physiological condition of the wearer, this biosensor, which is air beam by habitat map, they are able to measure the fine particulate matter, also known as PM 2.5. So why is it important for this biosensor to measure this? Because PM 2.5 is actually a particle or in the air that is so small. It is produced usually by a diesel car or diesel transportation, also by coal burning and by forest fire. And it's dangerous because it is so small. It is smaller than your hair, and it's able to penetrate deep into our lungs and even pass into our bloodstream, creating a short-term effect such as asthma attack, and also long-term such as cancer and also heart disease, which is why it is very dangerous. And it's very important for us to know like which area has a very high level of PM 2.5, so we can actually like steer away from that area or not go into that area so often. And biosensor actually describe the size of the particle that's actually measured. So like, is it PM 2.5? It might be bigger or might be like smaller, which is more dangerous than PM 2.5. And it uses a light scattering method to measure, which is the air is drawn through a sensoring chamber, as you can see on the bottom right. That is the device itself, and the sensor is inside. The air is drawn through a sensoring chamber wherein light from an LED bulb scatters of particles in the airstream. This light scatter is registered by a detector and converted into a measurement that estimates the number of particles that is in the air. The collected data is actually like, as you can see, that is only the device, and then on the top right, there is actually a website called air casting website. So the data that is collected in there will be updated into the app first, and it will then upload it into the website, so you can always have the most updated level of the fine particulate in the air. The last application of wearable biosensor is the Q sensor, which is still under development by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. So as you can see on the picture, it is wear around your wrist like a watch, and then the sensor is actually behind it, which is directly in contact with your skin, and it is able to measure three things, which is the electrodermal activity, EDA, in microsiemens. It is also able to measure your skin temperature in degrees Celsius, and acceleration in the units G, which is the SI unit of acceleration. The recordings is actually taken at a sample rate of 8 readings per second, which are able to give it the most accurate measurement for all three of these things.